Hi, everyone. Just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about our second type of rigid transformation or our isometry translations. So, again, these are ultimately the slide ones, right? These are the ones where you start at a point and you just move over that same amount. Okay. So, what are our objectives today? We are ultimately going to be describing what a translation is and what properties are preserved. And we are going to translate objects in vertical, horizontal, and in a combination of both directions. Okay. So I've heard it kind of written as a glide or as a slide, but ultimately your translation, that is a slide. And so all you're doing is you're shifting everything somewhere else. So all points in the object are moved in a straight line in the same direction. It can be just a horizontal direction, so just left and right. It can be just vertical, so just up and down, or it can be a combination of the two, which gives you a diagonal movement. The size, the shape, and orientation are all the same. All right. So R is still in the top right, Q is in the left, P is at the bottom. That doesn't change after you translate it. The distance between the 2 points is the same. Um, Everything stays the same. The only thing that changes for a translation is the physical location in space. All right. So everything else is exactly the same. Only the physical location stays the same. Again, we are still using the pre-image and the image. So the pre-image is what you start with. The image is what you end up with after you've translated it. And you're still using the prime notation, right? So you're still calling it the images points R prime, Q prime, and P prime. Right. So you do have to make sure that you do have a direction and a quantity, right? So you should know that you're going down 3 to the right 4, down 3 to the right 4. Um, and just as a heads up, if you see right or up, that means you're adding. And if you see left or down, that means minus. All right. When you're dealing with the rule given to you. So a horizontal change, that's where you're only dealing with x coordinate changes. So just like before, when we were dealing with some of the reflections, there are certain instances where only the x coordinate changed or only the y coordinate changed. We're again going to be dealing with that for the first one. So in a horizontal translation, you will see only the x coordinate changing. So all that we're doing is we're just sliding it left and right. So only your x coordinate will change, your y coordinate will not. So if you're translating 6 to the right, there's another way you can write that. Essentially, what you're saying is you're taking your points, x, y, and x, you're adding 6 to it, and y, you're leaving it alone. All right, that's all this notation means. All right, so each point, I'm adding 6. See how I'm adding 6 to the -4, to the -2, to the -4, and then I have my new point. So that's all I did. I just took everything and I moved it over there. All right, and they've all moved the same amount. That's important to consider. This time they're all moving the same amount. So if we're translating this figure ABC, to the left 3, ultimately, what does that mean? That means I'm taking my x value and I'm going to the left, so I'm using -3. And y, we're not doing anything to it. So all I do is I take my x coordinate and I subtract 3 from it. All right, so what -1 minus 3, 2 minus 3, -2 minus 3. So what's -1 minus 3? -4, -2, right? We don't touch the y coordinate. 2 minus 3 is -1. 4, we leave it alone. -2 minus 3 is -5. 3, we leave it alone. And that's it. So that's how we would have translated it to the left 3. Now you could plot all these points and you would see that ultimately they would all just shift over 3. But that is all that's happened. All right. So let's look at our next one. We looked at horizontal. Next will be vertical. Right. So here we have a vertical translation. Here's our pre-image. So we have our pre-image. And then here's my image. Again, you can tell from the primes. Okay, so here's my pre-image, here's my image. And now on a vertical, only the y coordinates will change, right? So CG is just going down, H is just going down, I is going just down, all right? So translate down to the down, sorry, that should just say down, 5, meaning x and then y minus 5. So all you're doing on this is you're just saying y minus 5. Every time you take your y coordinate, you subtract 5 from it. That's it. You do not touch your x coordinate. So I took 4 minus 5, got negative 1. I took 1 minus 5, I got negative 4. I took 1 minus 5, negative 4. That's it. Okay? The x coordinates stay the same. All right. So if I were to move it up 3, so up means y, right? So I'm not changing my x value. I'm leaving that alone. Y, we're going up 3. So I'm just adding 3 to my y coordinates. So plus 3, plus 3, plus 3. So I do not touch my x coordinate. So it would be negative 3. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. I do not touch my x coordinate. So 5 plus 3 is 8. I do not touch my x coordinate. And 4 plus 3 is 7. That's all there is to it. All right, so now we're going to put them together, and we're going to change both. So we're going to be doing a combined translation. Ultimately, the effect is you have a diagonal slide. Basically, all we're doing is we're taking our x translations, our horizontal translations, and our vertical translations, and we're combining them. So we're going to do both. So to know that it's going to be this one, you're going to get something like translate left 4 and up 5. So that means left, again, left is x, left and right are x, up and down are right. Up and down are your y coordinate. So we are going left 4, so we are subtracting, because remember left means subtract, 4. And then up 5, so you're going positive 5, right? So plus 5. So all I'm doing is I'm just changing both coordinates now. 3 minus 4, negative 1 plus 5. 7 minus 4, negative 5 plus 5. Negative 2 minus 4, negative 2 plus 5. That's it. All right, so I'm doing exactly what I did prior, but just again with both. All right, so let's do this one. I'm going to the right 6 and down 4. So if I'm going to the right 6, I add 6 to all my x values, and if I'm going down 4, I subtract 4 from all my y values. All right, so 2 plus 6, and then minus 4. So 2 plus 6 is 8, and then 6 minus 4 is 2. Negative 2 plus 6 is 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. So plus 6, that's negative 3. Minus 4 is negative 1. And that's all. All right, so you're just taking everything and you're doing both. One last thing we do need to explore is what about if I have to write the rule? So if I'm giving something like this, the image of the point negative 8, 3 under translation is negative 5, 2. Find the coordinates of the image of the point 9, 9 under the same translation. So what do we need to do? We need to figure out what the rule is. So to figure out what the rule is, we were saying we're going from negative 8 to negative 5, and we're going from 3 to 2. So to get from negative 8 to negative 5, we're adding 3. And to get from 3 to 2, you subtract 1. So x plus 3 and y minus 1. So that's all you're doing. That's the rule. So now it's asking us for 9, 9 under the same rule. So 9 plus 3 is 12. 9 minus 1 is 8. And let's do an example of that. Again, all you're doing is you're just saying, how do I go from negative 8 to negative 5? Well, I add 3 to it. How do I go from 3 to 2? I subtract 1. And that's my rule. All right, so this is your rule, and that's what you apply. So when it's asking for the image of this point, if you see image of a point, that means you want to use the rule on that point. And that's all. All right, so let's do an example. The image of the point 9, negative 2 under a translation is 10, 3. All right, so let's stop there. The image of a point, so this is actually the image right here, saying of the point. So this is the pre-image. And then this is the image. Okay, so under a translation, that's saying we've done the translation, so that's why this one's the image. So we are going from 9, negative 2, and we're taking that to 10, 3. So basically, we have to ask ourselves, how do I go from 9 to 10? 9 goes to 10, you add 1, right? How do I go from -2 to 3? Well, I add 5. So that must mean my rule is x plus 1, y plus 5. That's it. That's all there is to it, right? So I look at it and I say 9, to go from 9 to 10, I add 1. To go from -2 to 3, I add 5. So then when I want to find the coordinates of this under the same translation, I'm going to apply these again, all right? So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in the 8 plus 1. I'm going to plug in the 4 plus 5. So my points under this translation is going to be -7, 5. Right? The only other thing you might encounter on this would be if it gives you something like it gives you the image and it asks you for the pre-image and it gives you something else. So basically, the only thing that you might have to do is sometimes you have to go backwards, but it's the same thing, but just in reverse. All right. So let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.